Hi, everyone. This week is the 5th week in Lent and the last Sunday before we begin Holy Week with Palm Sunday next week. Lent is a time of turning back to God. Lent is 6 weeks and is a purple season. Purple stands for drawing close to God by opening our hearts in prayer. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus spent the night on the Mount of Olives. Then early the next morning he went to the temple. People came to him and he sat down and started teaching them. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law of Moses brought in a woman who had been caught in bed with a man who was not her husband. They made her stand in the middle of the crowd. Then they said, "Teacher, this woman was caught sleeping with a man who is not her husband. The law of Moses teaches that a woman like this should be stoned to death. What do you say?" They asked Jesus this question because they wanted to test him and bring some charge against him. But Jesus simply bent over and started writing on the ground with his finger. The crowd kept on asking Jesus about the woman. Finally, he stood up and said, "If any of you have never sinned, then go ahead and throw the first stone at her." Once again, he bent over and began writing on the ground. The people left one by one, beginning with the oldest one in the crowd. Finally, Jesus and the woman were there alone. Jesus stood up and asked her, "Where is everyone? Isn't there anyone left to accuse you?" "No, sir," the woman answered. Then Jesus told her, "I am not going to accuse you either. You may go now, but don't sin anymore." The Gospel of the Lord. In this week's Gospel, we hear an amazing story about Jesus. He was in the temple teaching everyone. Probably he was reading from the Bible and telling others about what it meant. Then some people came bringing a woman who had been caught doing something wrong. You can imagine how scary it would be for her to be dragged in front of everyone. The story tells us that the people brought the woman to Jesus to test him, to see what he would do. Wow! Imagine how awful it would feel to be used as an example to test someone. It would feel really bad to be used for someone else's schemes. And on top of it, what they were asking him to do was give her the penalty to be stoned, which is to have the crowd throw stones at her until she died. What an awful way to die. Jesus knew better, though. He ignored them and started writing on the ground. We don't know what he wrote, but we do know that people kept asking him what he was going to do about the woman. Finally, he asked that anyone who didn't sin could throw the first stone. Everyone there realized they too had made mistakes, and if they were honest with themselves, they couldn't throw a stone at her without realizing someone else could do the same to them. So eventually, they all walked away. Imagine how the people felt who were walking away. It must have been a big moment of realization for everyone. Finally, only Jesus and the woman were left, and no one was there to hurt her. Jesus said he wouldn't hurt her either, and that she should go, but sin no more. Jesus didn't just want her to be freed, he wanted her life to be better too. Can you imagine the relief she felt? What can we learn from this story? How Jesus wants to help people, how he wants to forgive, how he wants everyone else to forgive too, how none of us is perfect, and we shouldn't hurt others for their mistakes. How Jesus wants us to be not only forgiven, but better than we were before.